So now that is, as I said in the very beginning, what we were going to talk about mostly. How to use essential oils, why to use them, when not to use them, and what they were going to do for us. And I hope I've done that. It's been 2 hours and almost 2.5 hours, 2 hours and 20 minutes, and that is hopefully what will give you a basis that A, you really cannot create harm, and B, all you're going to do is create good. You're going to increase frequency, you're going to increase health, and you are going to do good to keep the body balanced. They're not pharmaceuticals, so there's no side effects, and for the most part, perfectly safe with the few precautions that we've talked about. And so it's like, wow, I can use these things. I can use them in many of these different ways, and then this is what it's going to do for me. It's going to clean this out. It's going to help this cell. It's going to help my nervous system. It's going to, do all those things. So that's why I spent a predominance of this 3 hours doing that. Okay. Now for the next few minutes, we have till a few more minutes to go here. I'm going to talk about what to do for what, some suggestions, some practical uses, some things, and I'm actually going to go. This slide is obsolete, and I always forget to take it out. There we go. What people mostly want, again, in a new beginning with essential oils, it's like it can be a daunting task to find out what you should get, what you should stock, what you should have on hand, how to discern from the hundreds that we have, what should I get? And if you don't have the resources just to buy the exclusive kit, buy them all, and then have them. And you want to jump in and you want to just get them in a organized fashion, okay? And so what I start with, what I try to encourage people to have on hand is oils for a sort of first aid kit, a first response kit, that if you had this, you would have an oil for just about anything that you might need an oil for, okay? This is going to have oils for just about anything that I can think of in a first aid, emergency, 72-hour kind of a thing. Because if you think about what we use over-the-counter pharmaceuticals for, too, we use them a lot every single day. We use Listerine, or we use Pepto-Bismol, or, we use, lots of different things. And so if you had these oils, or at least some of these oils, then you would be able to begin to replace your pharmaceuticals, your over-the-counter drugs, with essential oils and build from there. Even beyond that, even a bottom, more important line to think clearly on when thinking about what essential oils to get, to jump in with, or that kind of thing, is think about the symptoms that you and your family demonstrate. I don't really have too many skin exacerbations. I don't have any babies at home. So baby me is probably not one that would be on my top 10 list. But maybe you've got lots of little toddlers or lots of grandbabies or something like that it would be. So think about what your family dynamics are. Do you have people with asthma? Do you have people with heart things? Do you have people that have skin issues? Do you have lots of people that are getting cut a lot, that kind of thing. So we're going to go through these 19 different oils here in the next half an hour, 45 minutes. And this will give you an idea of where to start. It may not be your ideal starting spot, but it is a place to start because there's like gazillions of, like 84 blends we just don't have time to talk about today, let alone the over 100 singles, okay? Excuse me. Okay, so in we go, alphabetically, not necessarily by importance, but alphabetically. Baby Me. Baby Me would be a good oil to have on hand for anything to do with the skin. Now, if you think about what happens to the skin, or how horrible we feel when the skin is not happy, we want something that's going to make the skin feel good and make it stay feeling very happy. Babies with diaper rash are not pleasant to be around, and Baby Me would be a great oil for diaper rash. It's good for chafing in the summertime with hot. It's good for acne. It's good for eczema and psoriasis. It's a place to start for anything with hives, anything to do with the skin. It helps calm the skin, soothe the skin. It's what pregnant women we recommend for stretch marks. It's great for just feeling babied. You know how you want to feel babied and you want to feel special. Baby Me does that. It's a good one to put in the tub for postpartum blues. If you've just had a baby, it's a good oil for skin, and so that's why this oil is included in here. My parents used to live in Kentucky, and there is a sect of religious people in Kentucky. Used to be. I don't think they're there any longer. I don't think there's any of them any longer. Called Shakers. They're the people that made like the shaker pegs and the shaker boxes and stuff like that. And there's a town there where they reenact everything, and Kentucky was a border state, so there's a lot of Civil War stuff going on there too, the North and South and all that good stuff. And so we went, when I was visiting there one time, we went through this and through the different buildings. They make the shaker brooms. They have that special technique to make the wonderful brooms, and they're quite good craftsmen. And anyway, you go through all of these buildings, and I'll never forget going to the apothecary, the medical building, and they had all their herbs hanging from the ceilings, and ointments and salves and all sorts of things that they were decocting and what have you. And the woman asked the crowd as it came into the building, she said, what do you suppose was the number one chief complaint of a Civil War soldier, whether that was from the North or from the South? What was the number one complaint? Obviously dying from gunshot wounds or gangrene or, any one of those number things. And I was thinking maybe on the lines of dysentery, diarrhea or something. But none of those were correct. The number one chief complaint of a Civil War soldier at the time was fleas and the itching and the exacerbation that it did to the skin. And if you think about it, they were in their wool long johns, and they probably had wool. If they were officers or whatever, they had wool clothing, the suit on, all that stuff, and wool socks, and the wool blanket that they carried across their back, and all of this stuff they never got to change, and all of this stuff they lived in and slept in and fought in and did all that stuff in and day out. And so if they were infested with fleas, they were going to be and have to be, until they could like burn their clothes and get a new set or whatever. And so that has always struck with me, and certainly when your skin is itching and feeling horrible, Baby Me is good. So I thought, man, Civil War soldiers would have probably benefited from Baby Me a lot. The next one on this list here is Breezy, and that is an oil for breathing, an oil for the whole respiratory system. It has a twin sister called Aspire, which is also very, very similar, works on the same avenue of the respiratory system. But if you think about breathing, think about needing to be able to breathe, needing to have to be able to take a breath. I mean, how long can you live without oxygen? I mean, needing to be able to breathe is very, very important. And how many kinds of symptom pictures present trouble with breathing? Allergies, certainly if you have something wrong with the lungs, asthma, even certain anxiety brings about an inability to take a good deep breath. And so you would want respiratory oils for that, let alone the RSV and the just colds and pneumonia and pleurisy and all of those kinds of things. Your lungs need to be able to stay free and clear. You need to be able to breathe in and breathe out in a relaxed manner. And so you need something to be able to breathe. And so that's why Breezy is in this kit. Deeper, I've kind of talked about a little bit, I think, earlier. Deeper is for pain. There's many that Butterfly Express has for pain. Deeper is just one of them that is in this kit. Uh, I like it a lot. It penetrates in towards bones and for sciatic pain. It seems to work better on extremities like hands and feet rather than pain, which is more surface. Um, it, but you need to have some sort of pain relief. You need to have some sort of analgesic uh, oil that can help with pain, whether it's in your feet or your back, whatever. I think I mentioned it earlier that it works really well with woman-wise to help relax the whole lower back and abdomen from the constriction of the cramps and stuff like that, and the pain associated with that. Um, I've used it with my brother if he's been in an asthma attack, with just again helping to relax, helping the pain that spasms in his lungs. So you need something for pain. Deliverance, I've probably beat to death with it like a dead horse, but Deliverance is antiviral as well as antibacterial and antifungal. It's my favorite oil. Um, I recommend everybody use it, even before you get sick, so that you don't get sick. This is the oil that you should be using all the time. Never fails. Every August when kids go back to school, the 1st of September, everybody's calling for, oh, kids are back in school and they're sick and they're sharing colds and, da-da-da-da-da-da. So Deliverance should be used all the time, day in, day out, every day, so that you don't get sick. And we never know if something is viral or bacterial. So if you take your antibiotic and then you still have it, then it was viral, and you're still toast because now you've killed everything good. What is the oil? I have a question here that somebody has typed to me. It says, what is the oil you're talking about with pain? Deeper. Deeper is the pain oil I was talking about. Yep. And, okay, so Deliverance. So Deliverance is, again, antiviral, antibacterial, antifungal. It's good for if you've got, like, the athlete's foot, because that's a fungus. It is good for, killing bacteria and germs. I used it initially in my mouth for killing the bacteria that was leading to some gingivitis and stuff in my mouth. But this is viral. This is the one for warts. It's just an all-around good oil. And again, like I said at the very beginning with that analogy of the sailors and that kind of stuff, it delivers us. It brings us up out of that need to have sickness in our life, at least in my bay. Endo Relief is an excellent oil. I love Endo Relief. Endo being kind of short for endocrine, which is our hormonal system. Nothing happens in the body without a hormone being involved. So all of those things need to be balanced. Now, we think of, when we say our hormones are out of whack, when we say that, we're generally referring to the sex hormones, the female or male hormones, the testosterone, the estrogen, and progesterone. That's what we're usually, when people say, oh, you're hormonal, that's what they're thinking, the PMS or whatever. But everything, insulin is a hormone. Okay, all the reactions in the body are hormonal, and they need to stay balanced. So Endo Relief helps with that. Endo Relief should be used along with Woman-Wise or Balance because it is so helpful. Balance and Woman-Wise are specific for the young woman or the old woman, but Endo Relief should be used conjunctly with each of those to help balance as you're going along. Endo Relief also has the ability to work with the thyroid gland and balance the metabolism, balance the lymphatic system, keep everything moving, keep the system that maintains us balanced. What's it called? Just my brain just went dead. Our immune system. There we go. It helps keep that immune system up and going and functioning and filtering and working appropriately. One of the great times to use Endo Relief is right after you've been sick and you're recuperating and you still kind of got that achy, muscly joint stuff going on, and you're just, you're better, you're not contagious, that you should be out of it, but you're just still kind of feeling like Eeyore. You're not real, kind of lethargic still, kind of low frequency. Endo Relief, especially in the tub, is great to get that lymphatic tissue up and moving and going, get the thyroid online, get the metabolism boosted, and get everything going. So endo relief is very, very good for that. Um, Heart Song, this is the one. This is the go-to oil uh, if you're suffering from depression. This is a excellent, excellent place to start. It may not be the whole picture, but it is an excellent place to begin. If you don't, and then watch and see what happens and what symptoms might reappear that you need to follow after that. Heart Song has a lot of rose in it, and so it smells really good. It can be worn just like a perfume. Um, but this is the one if you're suffering from depression or even postpartum depression, couple that with the Baby Me. It's an excellent oil for alleviating the troubles and the worries of the heart and making the heart sing, livening it up, removing that depression. I used Heart Song when my husband passed away. Um, he died at 54. I was, I think, 45. My son was 12. It's like, okay, now what am I going to do? But you know what? Heart Song helped me not sink into depression. Just to get moving, get going, get up, and grieve, but not sink into depression. So Heart Song is a great oil for that, for lifting that. A very high frequency because of the rose that's in there. Inside Out, we've already talked about quite a bit. It's a tummy oil. It is good for balancing anything with the tummy. Uh, if you've got kids that suffer from the diarrhea and the cramps that come with diarrhea, oh my goodness, Inside Out is wonderful. I was teaching a class one time down in Phoenix, and it was like fly down in the morning and teach the class, potluck lunch, answer questions, and fly home on the last JetBlue flight out of Phoenix or Southwest or whatever it was. And so we're down there, and I've taught for my 3 hours, and then it was like 1 o'clock, and they're supposed to have the potluck. And they said, "Oh, well, you just keep talking, and is it okay if we eat while you talk? And whatever, we'll get you your lunch, and just let's just keep going for another hour or so." And I said, "Fine with me." I said, "Well, I'm a vegetarian, so get me appropriate food for that." And so I kept teaching, and they brought me a plate and a bowl of soup and everything, and I wasn't really thinking. And when somebody asks a question, that's when I can take a quick mouthful of food while they're asking their question. And so somebody asked a question, and I picked up the bowl of soup. It was like a red. It had some tortillas floating in it, so I thought it was just, I make tortilla soup, so I wasn't thinking anything crazy. And I took like 3 or 4 really quick bites, and it like tasted kind of strange. And so I answered the question, and then I don't pay too much attention. And then another 10 minutes later, somebody asked another question, and so I picked it up again, and this time I think, okay, something's wrong here. And pretty much by the time I had got finished answering that question, I had to excuse myself, go to the bathroom, and on my way by my oil rack sample, I grabbed my Inside Out, and I got to the potty and just kind of sat there for a minute. And you know how when you have diarrhea, you kind of get the diaphoretic, you start to sweat and shake, and it's like, ooh, okay. And I wasn't nauseated, I just had the diarrhea. And so I rubbed some Inside Out on my tummy, and I'm here to tell you that I had to do it straight. I didn't grab any carrier oil, okay? And so I just rubbed that on my tummy, and I sat there for a few minutes, and then I got up, and I took a paper towel and just kind of dabbed my face. And I swear, I wasn't in the bathroom more than 6 or 7 minutes. Went back out, finished teaching the class, didn't eat any more soup, ate the rest of my veggies on my plate that I could discern what they were. And on the way back to the airport, I asked the woman something about the soup, and she said, well, her housekeeper had made it, and everybody in Phoenix has housekeepers. And I said, oh, okay, because it kind of upset my stomach. And she said, well, it was a vegetarian soup. I told her, that you were coming and not to put any pollo, no chicken, in the soup. And I'm like, well, it just didn't agree with me very much. And so she felt really bad, and so she called her housekeeper on the phone, and her housekeeper swore up and down that there was no pollo, there was no chicken in the soup, but she had put in pork. I guess she didn't equate pork with being not, vegetarian or something. But long story short is that's how quickly the Inside Out took away those intestinal cramps, and see, my body just wasn't used to having pork put through it, and all that intestinal stuff. It just instantly made it go away. It's a wonderful, wonderful oil. If you have that upset tummy, it just works. It's excellent. Mela Plus is a topical antibacterial kind of a thing. This is like Bactine, the stuff that you spray on cuts because you don't want them to get infected. If you do cut yourself, what you would soak in to kill the germs. It is good skin oil, so it might be good for bug bites or something like that, but it's mostly just antibacterial, so you eliminate infection on the skin. Millennia, I talked about a little bit once, I think. Millennia is an excellent, excellent oil. This is the oil that aligns things. This is the oil that puts things back where they belong. They call it a chiropractor in a bottle. This is when you fall, 9 times out of 10, something isn't going to be where it was when you started. Something has changed. And Millennia puts it back where it belongs, whether that's a bone. I've seen it mend bones in people's feet. And my son's hand, he got it caught between a horse and a buckle and a rope or something one time, and he had a little bone in the side of his hand. It's called a boxer's fracture break, and so we healed it with that because they don't really set it or anything if you went to a doctor. Millennia is an excellent thing that puts things back where they belong, no matter what it is structurally. But it is also an excellent, excellent oil for children with ADD and ADHD. Millennia is helping to align the synapses of the brain as the impulses are hitting the brain, and they're maybe not going in a linear fashion. So the Millennia helps the child see ABC instead of ABF. You can go in a straight fashion. So Millennia is very excellent for ADD, ADHD, bipolar, OCD, any of those things that are out of balance emotionally, too. Millennia is the one for that. Migraine. We haven't really talked much today about headaches, but migraine is the one for headaches. Anytime you have headaches, I believe that you have to really think about what is causing the headaches. Okay, you've got to think what is the source of why I have a headache, and many, 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 many things cause headaches. So let's just talk about a couple of those real quick. I think that first and foremost, when you have headaches, you have to look and discern if it's a male or a female, okay? Because females tend to get hormonal headaches. Now, you may not equate them with your period at the time of your period. They might be in the middle of the cycle some other time, but they're going to be hormonally driven. Okay, so a woman that says that she has headaches, you have to look towards balanced hormones. Okay, you just have to, not necessarily when she's menstruating. And especially, she'll say, "Oh no, it's not hormonal." And I'll say, "Well, how many bad periods do you get in a month?" "Oh, about 1, maybe 2." So kind of think about that cyclically. If you're getting 1 or 2 really bad headaches a month, you may want to suspect that it is going to be hormonal, and that would be woman-wise and endo relief. Okay. Another thing that causes headaches is misalignment. You slept funny on your pillow. You have you whiplash. Something misaligned. Your hip is out. Your lower back is out. Something is structurally wrong, and that is creating inappropriate pressure, and so that's causing your back to hurt or your neck to hurt, and causing you to have a headache. Okay, so those are some things that cause headaches. But if your headache is caused from constriction, from stress, constriction of the muscles that are supplying oxygen up to, or constricting the blood vessels that are bringing oxygen up to your brain, I guess I should say. If it's from stress, if it's from tension, if it's from being on the freeway in LA at 5 o'clock, that kind of stuff. This could be a migraine. Okay, this could be a bona fide migraine. I am fortunate in my life to never have had one. had most of 97% of my headaches were ever hormonal. I put on the Woman Wise or the Balance, and bam, they were gone. Uh, but migraine is the one for the twinkie lights in the eyes, and the constriction of blood vessels and that kind of stuff. So, and again, a lot of people that have used migraine don't need to use it now, and they no longer are stricken with migraine headaches. They balanced what was out of balance that was triggering it, and they don't need it anymore. Or they just need to open the bottle and smell it to be alleviated from those headaches. A lot of people say, well, I tell people to use this oil before you get the headache. Don't wait for the migraine to come and say, okay, where's my migraine oil? I'm going to use it now. It's like, use it all the time to prevent the migraine from occurring. A lot of people then say, well, I wake up with one. So I say, well, put it on, before you go to bed. This is a almost nutritional supply that you're giving the body so that it doesn't trigger that migraine. Okay, Purify. Excuse me. Purify is the most best, awesomest, and I know those are not words in proper English, oil to put on when you have like a wasp bite or a bee sting, or pretty bad even bug bite of any kind. I'm a new beekeeper. This is my second year of keeping bees, and no matter what you do, you suit up, you put your veil on, all that good stuff, you inevitably get stung. And all I do is I put a drop of Purify on a cotton ball. I cut a cotton ball like in fourths, and then I put a couple drops of Purify on the cotton ball, and then just Band-Aid that right over that bee sting, and it doesn't inflame, it doesn't do anything. It's wonderful. I was at a farmer's market one time, and a woman had been bit, walking through the grass, and she had sandals on, and she got bit by a wasp, I think. And so her foot was swelling, so she took a couple drops out of my sample bottle and just, dabbed it on her wasp bite, and then we were just visiting and talking, and 10 minutes later, she'd forgotten all about her foot, and I could see that the swelling had gone down or what have you, and she's like, oh my gosh, I need to have a bottle of that. But so Purify is great for wasp bites and bee stings, but it's also good for, it takes odor. It eliminates odor out of something. So this is the one that I said I spray in my room with my cat box. Purify is the one that eliminates odor. Very, very good. Sunburst is an excellent cleaning oil. This oil is good for, it has a lot of citrus oils in it, so it's very fresh, it's very cleansing, it's very antibacterial. This would be a good one to use on countertops. A lot of people use this in the laundry. It's good at cutting the grease from, the yuck and buildup of the clothes in the actual washing machine and stuff. Sunburst is very, very good cleanser, very good brightener. I have a question. Has anyone used Purify for jellyfish stings? No, but I bet it'd work. My husband was a scuba diver, and they say that, if you pee on it, a jellyfish sting. But I suspect, I try it. Let me know. Because you're in Hawaii. Sweet. Let us know, Anna, if that works, and we can put that in the suggestions and practical uses. I don't know why it wouldn't, because the jellyfish is just giving you, some venom. So I'd be interested to know if that works. But yeah, I would suspect that it would. It works on bee stings and wasp bites. I don't know why it wouldn't. Okay, great. Now let's see. Right. I will next time we get a sting. Right now I'm almost, oh, yay, I'm glad. You must get stung a lot. Okay, let's see. Purify Sunburst. Tranquility. Tranquility is for anxiety. We use Tranquility a lot for insomnia, but it's not really a sleep kind of a thing, a sleep aid. Tranquility is anti-anxiety. It's calming. And so if your anxiety is driving in traffic at 6:30 in the morning in LA, then that's when you would use your Tranquility. It's not a sleep-inducing thing. We do use it a lot for insomnia because it tends to be that most people that don't sleep well at night actually fall asleep immediately when they go to bed. They pass out because they're exhausted. and then they wake up about 4 hours later, and then they're thinking of all the things that they didn't get done, need to get done, shouldn't get done, want to get done, and then they're all anxious and tied up and carrying on again. So it is tranquility is calming, and used at night for that anxiety that we create in our mind, that grocery list of things that we think about in our mind. Tranquility calms that anxiety and allows us to sleep and sleep unaffected by all that other stuff. But tranquility is for calming. It's very, very good oil, one of our top-selling oils. Vitality is a heart oil. This is the one for anything to do with the cardiovascular system, the heart, arrhythmias, high blood pressure, low blood pressure, any of that kind of stuff. Vitality is the one that helps the cardiovascular system itself. I know a lot of people that have maintained their blood pressure with just Vitality now and no longer use any blood pressure medications. Okay, so that's the first column there that you see, and that is the blended oils. I didn't really explain earlier when we were talking about blended oils and single oils and how you can tell the difference. Number one is that you can, let's see. Okay, I have a question that says, what oil is good for digestion and assimilation? Inside out, probably. And will we have to, yes. When I'm done here in about 5 minutes, we're going to stay here and ask all the questions. I will answer questions as long as you have questions. Lice on horses, I would probably use Deliverance. Oregano and tea tree are also really, really, thank you, are really, really good for lice. And I have horses, and I use oils on my horses all the time. They work very good on dogs. They work very good on cats. I have even used them once on a potbelly pig that a friend of mine had. He had a cut on him, and he needed something. So you can use oils on all sorts of mammals. I actually have a friend that has a bird, and we use inhalation therapy, aromatherapy for the bird to calm him down because he's one of those talking wild ones. But because you can't really put it on their skin because they have different kinds of skin, not just because of the feathers, but because of the skin itself. Okay, so the difference. So yes, hang tight, and we will answer all kinds of questions. How you can tell the difference between a blend and a single is the blends have the LE in front of them, but they also have what I call is the foo-foo name, heart song. That's not the name of a plant. Inside out, that's giving you a hint about what it does. Same with malinia, same with migraine. If it's the name of an actual plant that you recognize, those are the single oils. Heliochrysum is a kind of a plant. Lavender, peppermint, orange, yarrow. Those are all plant names. Frankincense, myrrh, spruce, pine, sandalwood, rose, neroli. Those are all the names of the plants that the oils come from. But if it has a foo-foo name that has an LE in front of it, those are the blended oils. Okay? And the name, we try really hard. We can't make the name, I think that Inside Out, our earlier name for that used to be digestive or something like that, that just said, okay, this is for the digestive tract. And but our lawyer's very conservative and wanted us to not be prescribing with the oil itself. And so, we kind of have to, be careful about what we're saying. We couldn't call heart song, depression ease, because that would be saying if you use this, it would alleviate your depression, and that's diagnosing and being a doctor and all that good stuff. So, but we try to give you a hint. We try to give you a hint in the name about what it's going to do. Okay, 5 more oils real quick here. Heliochrysum is actually a blossom oil. That's why it's a little bit pricey, but it's an excellent oil. It is the oil that comes from the blossom of the starflower. It doesn't have the beautiful floral fragrance that some of the other blossom oils do, but this is an excellent oil for bumps and bruises and contusions, and it helps the body heal from the outside in. If you've had anything happen to you that's been invasive, you sprain your ankle, you bump your head, you bruise your knee, Heliochrysum on there immediately keeps that swelling down so much. Um, very, very good oil. One of the single oils, 98% of the time I will recommend a blend, but helichrysum is one of those singles that just is a must to have to have. Everybody knows lavender. It smells wonderful. It can be put on the skin straight. Butterfly Express right now is having a special where it's in a 2-ounce bottle that's already a spray bottle coming up for burns, sunburns for the summer. So lavender is great. When you don't know what else to do, use lavender until you can figure out what else to do. Use something, and lavender is very gentle, very mild, and everybody loves it. Peppermint is an excellent oil. It has the perfect frequency for things to do with the head, and that's why it's in a lot of the headache blends. That's why it does help with headaches a lot. It also has a good affinity for digestion, and that's why it's in things for upset stomach and tummies and bad breath and all that kind of stuff. Sweet orange, just clean with it. It's so wonderful. It's uplifting. It cuts grease like nobody's business, and it's cheap. It's excellent cleanser. And then last but not least, by any stretch of anybody's imagination, is yarrow. This is a awesome oil if you get cut a lot. I have used blue yarrow more than once to avoid having to have stitches. It pulls the skin together and makes it so that the skin will heal evenly and without leaving a big gap or without, like I said, the need for stitches. Yarrow is one that you would dump on the wound straight. You wouldn't bother to rub it in with a carrier oil or anything. Just put it on there straight, pull that together, and it pulls the wound and alleviates some of the swelling so that the wound can heal quickly and with a minimal amount of scar tissue too. Very, very good oil. Okay, so those are just some things that would touch on some of the initial, what should I say, maladies that hit us every day. Okay. Now, when I teach a class in person, I always bring with me class specials. I always bring, something that's discounted or, something that I think that group of people may want or what have you. But since I am not in your homes, although I wouldn't mind being with a woman that's on today because she is in Hawaii, but that's okay. I'm all right with that. The fact that it snowed at my house last night, notwithstanding. If you have a wholesale account with us, if you place your order before 5 o'clock on Monday, because today's Saturday, so the first day of business would be Monday. So by 5 on Monday, if you have a wholesale account, you'd receive 5% off of whatever you order if it's not already on sale, and 10% off if it's a retail account. Now, we discount like 6 oils each month, 3 blends and 3 singles. Those are already 15% off, so you wouldn't get another 10. So just trying to go there. So anyway, if you call Susan on Monday before 5, she will grant and tell her that you were in the webinar that Sharon taught on Saturday, then she will give you those prices. And let's see, 3 minutes to spare to be 3 hours. And I forgot taping, so for the first 5 minutes. So we're right on track. So now we're going to answer questions. Most of you, I believe, have to text your messages, your questions to me. And so as I get them, I will just read them. What is good for allergies? It depends on what the allergy is and what the symptom is. Number one thing that you want to look at is how the body responds to different invasions and what the symptom that the body presents is. If you have 3 kids that have the flu, one is going to have aches and body aches and fever, one is going to have colds and runny nose, and one's going to have a fever. They're all going to respond differently, but they're all going to, quote-unquote, have the same flu. So that's why we don't treat the flu, per se. We treat the symptoms and how the body presents those symptoms. So when you say, what's good for allergies, is it runny nose? Is it itchy ears? Is it watery eyes? Is it coughing? Is it skin? All of those kinds of things. And so basically, if it's anything to do with the respiratory system, which is really what allergies tend to be, it would be breezy and aspire would be the ones that I would start with. I would not wait until the allergies occurred to start using those oils. If you know that your allergies hit, every spring or whatever, then you would just start using Breezy. I would probably use both Breezy and Aspire. You can rotate them, like one on the chest and one on the back, one on the feet. Just kind of mix them up and do them differently. Butterfly Express actually makes a wonderful product that is not an essential oil at all, but it is a homeopathic called Allergies Number One, and it's excellent for just the watery eyes, the itchy throat, the itchy ears, the runny nose, and it just sort of takes all of those symptoms and really, really helps with them. So if you ask Sue about Allergy Relief Number One or Allergies Number One, she could help you with that. There's a question there about a wholesale account. Your best way to do that is to talk to Sue. I don't want to take time now with that. Sue can direct your information about that. Or I can do it when we're done with the whole thing here. I can say today that Breezy is helping me with indoor-outdoor allergies just by sniffing it. Sweet. Wonderful. A participant just typed that in as the answer to your question that you had about the allergies. And so, again, stuffy nose, itchy eyes. The stuffy nose thing is going to be Breezy and Aspire, and the itchy eyes would definitely be helped by that Allergies Number One. Very, very good for just those seasonal allergies that just kind of kick in for 2 weeks. Of course, I'm a beekeeper, and so I believe in bee pollen and honey local from your area because they contain the pollen in them. They use pollen to make them, and that if you eat that, then your body then gets used to it and then doesn't, when it does have it in the spring or whenever something pollinates, then it's not seeing it as a foreign substance. It's recognizing it and not building up the antihistamines against it. So bee pollen and local honey are also good for fighting infection. Cleansing out the liver is good too because the liver is the filter, and if the liver is congested and full and that filter is not letting it's so congested that it's letting some of those histamines through, then you need to clean out that liver so it does a better job of filtering too. And to clean out the liver, Revitalize and Live-In are excellent. Is there any oil to apply for moles and skin tags? I have gotten rid of moles and skin tags with frankincense, alternating with lavender. Just holding putting frankincense on and just putting it like on the bottom, on the end of a Q-tip, and holding it on there for a minute or two, and you'll feel it. I mean, it's intense. And then you can also do put it on a part of a cotton ball and then Band-Aid it over it. The reason I say that Band-Aids today are smart Band-Aids, and they're meant to wick moisture away from a wound and not stick to the wound, and so it wicks you can't wet that pad with essential oil because it just wicks it away from the wound itself or from what you're trying to do. So you want to actually rip off the gauze part of the Band-Aid and just use the adhesive part. Cut a cotton ball in quarters and then soak that with 2 or 3 drops of essential oil and then tape that on the wart or the mole or whatever you're trying to get to. I've had a lot of luck with frankincense on skin tags and moles, and then alternating it. And again, it's intense. You'll feel it, and then following it up in an hour or so with some lavender to heal it. Lavender is cytophylactic. It allows the body to reproduce new, good, appropriate cells, and the frankincense then kills the inappropriately growing cells in the mole. So that would be what I would do. If it's a bad mole, precancerous mole or something like that, you may want to go to, more like a brown salve, some sort of topical salve to put on it. Dr. Christopher's makes a salve for moles. I think they call it brown salve, black salve, something like that. Okay. All righty. Come on, I need another question. I'm to the end of my questions now. You've got to have more than that. Okay, good. Are there any other classes you offer? No. We're trying. We know we need to, especially for people like you that physically can't get here. With probably the herb class that we teach will be next online, um, to teach about the herbal tinctures and what herbs offer for us nutritionally and that kind of stuff. We know we need to. It's just that we are so darn busy. The oil business, it's just booming and thriving because people are trying to take more control over what they can do for themselves, and they don't want to be slaves to the pharmaceutical companies. And so we're just so busy doing the oils, we haven't had time to develop the herb one. But it is in the works. We know we need to do it. We also teach oil classes on homeopathy and lots of things, from muscle testing and stuff like that. But those are not slated to be online anytime soon that I know of. Arthritis. If you think about what arthritis is, different kinds of arthritis certainly, but the symptom is pain, pain in the joints. Generally some of the extremity joints, but generally speaking the joints nonetheless. Um, so deeper and pain would be the two, and I would layer them. I would use them both at the same time and rub them right in, especially if it's the hands or like the knees, the ankles, the hips. And you want to do this, I would start out with a regimen of, every 3 hours, being very faithful for about 3 weeks to see if you can't back down the inflammation and what's causing the problem. And then generally most people find that they only have to, they can back off from there. They don't need to keep up that heavy duty of a schedule. But pain and deeper would be the two for that. Oftentimes arthritis is from the build-up of things in the blood that shouldn't be there because the kidneys aren't filtering correctly and getting everything. So you really kind of want to look towards making the kidneys clear again too, as well as the liver. Western medicine here in the United States, we think that the heart is the biggest organ, the biggest deal, the center of everything. I tend to think more along the lines of the Chinese, the Eastern philosophy, where the liver is the seat, is the head of everything, and because if the liver is just not happy, man, it screws up everything. And so Revitalize is one of those that I put in my bathwater a lot, just because I want to keep that liver happy and healthy and functioning and filtering, and I don't want it congested. And that's why we made the sister live-in a couple of months ago. You just need to keep that liver, and because it's an elimination support, as well as the kidneys functioning correctly, because if too much or inappropriate things are getting through, i.e. allergies or arthritis or gout or any of those things, if they're getting through, then they're creating imbalances in the body. And so you want to keep those organs of prep, sort of elimination, working correctly in your body. The next question is, does lemongrass work as a mosquito repellent? I think it has some capabilities to repel insects and mosquitoes. A better one would be the oil away. It is a natural, we use lots of natural things in there to build up to repel all kinds of insects. It also has catnip oil in there, and catnip oil is got 10 times more the repellent action of DEET. I mean, catnip oil is what you want to repel mosquitoes. But catnip oil doesn't smell real good. It smells pretty bad, actually, in my opinion. Now, maybe somebody else might think it would smell nice, but it's not a nice aroma. So we have taken it with, mellowed it with some cedar wood, I think, and a few other things to make the aroma more appropriate. But for the most part, what you want for mosquito repellent, in my opinion, is the catnip oil. Citronella is also notoriously been used to repel for insects and mosquitoes for a long time. They have those mosquito coils and stuff like that are citronella. But You could try lemongrass, but I don't think it's your best bet. And I think in May is going to have Away on sale, a 1 ounce bottle of Away and a blue spray bottle to put it in so that you can make your own mosquito repellent stuff. And Susan, if you ask her, will give you the May prices tomorrow, even or Monday, even though it's still April. We kind of do that on the last day of the month. We do the month and the next month too. The book talks about using fountains from Walmart as diffusers. Are we talking about the under $50 tabletop fountains? Essential oil diffusers are so expensive. Yes, they are. Yes, you can use the tabletop diffusers. You can use little plug-in diffusers. The ones, the little warmers, they call them, from Butterfly Express that they're selling now are cute. They're like 10 or $15. You can put one in every room. They're different colors. They plug into a light switch. They're not ugly. They don't take up a lot of counter space, and they work really, really well. But if you have an expensive one, fine. If you have a humidifier, they work in there. Like I said, some people just use cotton balls. You don't need an expensive, fancy $200 diffuser. I have a bowl of potpourri. It's you know blossoms of petals that I think are pretty, from the garden. It's got cedar chips, curly cues in there. It's got some dried ferns because they kind of hold their color and they're kind of interesting shape. It's got a lot of things in there, and I love holiday spirit. When my house is clean, and then I sprinkle holiday spirit in that dish with the potpourri, and it slowly diffuses out the aroma of the holiday spirit, then I know my house is clean. And so that's what I do for the most part is saturate the potpourri, and then as it slowly evaporates, then that's my diffuser. Sometimes when I'm cleaning on my entryway rugs, I will just they're kind of a mottled color, flower print or something. I'll just shake the essential oil right on them, just straight, and then it's a burst right when you get in through the door. There's many ways to disperse and diffuse the essential oils. You do not need those expensive guys because they are expensive, and they tend to use a lot of oil too. You don't need a lot of oil to be diffused in the home for a pleasant aroma or to kill the germs or whatever. And if you think you can't smell it anymore, oftentimes that just means that those receptor sites within your nose are saturated, and you go outside, you clear your nasal passages, and you come back in 15 or 20 minutes, and oh yeah, I can smell it. It's just that when all of those receptor sites get saturated, they quit sending that signal, that neurological signal to the brain that says, sweet orange, sweet orange, sweet orange, sweet. After a minute, it's like, okay, I'm not going to, give you that single of sweet orange anymore. I'm done with that. And so if you just leave that area for a few minutes, a lot of people will smell coffee grounds. I keep a box of coffee grounds actually on my desk. Don't drink coffee, but I smell it, and that actually kind of clears some of those receptor sites so you can actually smell better. When I'm testing oil and checking it in and stuff, I can smell coffee. So does that answer that question? All righty, that's the end of my questions. I need some more. I hope somebody is out there typing fast and furious. No? It's 3:15. I don't know where some of you are back east, so it's going to be late back there. Some of you are in Hawaii, so it's early there. But there's no questions coming. I don't want to preempt you. I don't want to cut this at all short. There we go. Can I recommend? Can you recommend? Is that a question, or did you just hit? There you go. Okay, what oils to use for weight loss? Okay, that's an interesting, again, deeply embedded kind of a question. Is the weight loss is the weight gain from being pregnant and you just had a baby? then my recommendation would be just to breastfeed, obviously, and the weight will come off naturally. But uh, being overweight, and I struggle with this myself, so I'm kind of speaking on things I understand a little bit about. It depends on why you're overweight and what the symptoms are. We see the symptom as being, uh, um, you know, having too much, excess weight on our bodies, and so how do we get that off? But it's not like quitting smoking and you can just say, okay, I'm not going to smoke anymore, or I'm not going to drink alcohol anymore. It's like you still have to eat, and so you have to make wiser choices because something that you were eating, your scale was imbalanced. There was more food than there was exercise and need for food and exercise. We don't need food in our body. We need nutrition. We need a certain amount of calories every day, but we need a certain amount of nutrition every day. And your body will stimulate you to eat that to get that nutrition. And so if you're eating lots of empty calories and lots of sugar and lots of pop and even diet pop, I think, does this, it will stimulate the body. Okay, I don't have what I need, so you better eat something. And I don't have what I need. I need more food in the hopes that it's going to get some nutrition. And so the number one thing, irregardless of essential oils or not, I believe, for eating, for weight loss is, well, probably number one is don't go on a diet. Because a diet in our culture connotates a negative thing, and it also connotates that someday, sooner or later, when I have lost the 10 pounds or the 15 pounds or whatever it is then I'm not going to be on a diet anymore, and I can do whatever I want to, and that is inappropriate, and you'll just gain the weight right back. What you need to do is think about not going on a diet and think about ways to quote unquote nourish your body. That's why we eat. That's why we have food. We have to nourish our body. And if your body is nourished, then it will be happy, and it will respond to you, and it will naturally seek its own level of balance, and your frequency will rise, and you'll have more energy, and you'll be more active, and you'll have more muscle mass, and all of those things will happen by making better choices, better food choices, and better activity choices. That being said, the ability to make better food choices is sometimes very difficult, and especially if you're a stress eater or you have food around the house for other people that aren't necessarily opposed to those kinds of foods. So there's a couple of different oils that help with stress eating. They help with the metabolism. They help with the energy. One is weightless. We talked about endo relief, and that is a good one to keep the whole body and the whole metabolism, everything functioning well. The thyroid plays a big part in our ability to lose weight or maintain weight. Is the thyroid gland, so you want to keep that healthy, and so that would be endo relief. Weightless is a blended oil. It has a lot of citrus oil in it, so it's very astringent when applied to the skin, so it helps like tighten the skin and maybe shrink some of the cellulite. But it also has an emotional component to it that helps with that desire to overeat, that desire to stress eat, that mania that overtakes you. And sometimes just by doing behavior modification, when you want to eat something, instead of going to eat something and putting something in your mouth, you smell the oil. Whether that's an inhaler in your pocket, which is great for weightless. Okay, I'm going to eat. No, I'm going to smell first. Take 3 minutes to smell weightless. Have a swallow of water, and then then maybe you won't eat. And so weightless works well aromatically. It also works good. I've used it on my hips, like right before I go walking. I'll rub it on, and I do think it helps tone and firm the skin a little bit. You would probably want to use those oils. You'd want to layer them on your body. You'd want to smell them, especially the weightless. 6 or 7 times a day, you'd want to smell it. You'd probably want to rub it on, every 3 or 4 hours. And my experience with working with clients, but also personally, has taught me that once you get a regime down, once you get in the flow of it, once you start thinking about, again, not being on a diet, not, okay, there's an end to this that I have to stop, but thinking of one thing a week that will nourish your body better than what you're doing this week. And, maybe that is, I'm going to make, fresh carrot juice and drink it, 3 times a week. Or I'm going to eat a salad for dinner, twice a week. It doesn't have to be anything horribly monstrous. It has to be something that you're going to do and follow through in. And remember that you got overweight by a series of fairly maybe inappropriate choices and being more sedentary than maybe you once were. And so you're going to have to alleviate that and balance the scale back by being less sedentary than you were and by modifying your eating. And do that in terms of nutrition and not necessarily dieting. And I think you'll find you'll be happier. A question said, you said that you like sandalwood. What do you use it for the most? I love sandalwood. I think that it might be my most favorite single, and I keep that in my roller bottle in my purse for perfume. It's high in sesquiterpenes. It crosses the blood-brain barrier. I love it for that because I have a history of Alzheimer's in my family. I use it for perfume. I use it because it's also a very balancing oil. Inside each person, we have the yin, the yang, the male, not the male, the masculine and the feminine. And sandalwood tends to moderate my emotions and make me more balanced. I think I mentioned my husband passed away about 10 years ago. My son has graduated from college and it doesn't live with me, so I live alone. So I need moderation in my emotions, or I get too cranky, and so sandalwood helps me do that. There you go. I think that what we've talked about will answer that emotional eating question. Slowly, even if it takes 2 years to go backwards. And if you think about what it is that we want to lose weight for, we want it for the better clothes, we want it for the vanity and to look better and all that kind of stuff. But really, think of your body as the temple. Think of your body as being the place of nutrition. Think of those little tiny individual baby cells that I preached about 2 hours ago, and that each one of them has to have good nutrition, let alone good water. And so you've got to, when you put something in your mouth, make it nourishing, and then slowly weed out those things that are not nourishing, and include those things that are, and it really does turn it around. How do you clear the tear duct of an 11-month-old? Wow, a good foot zoner. I think a good foot zoner can do that. I would probably do the first thing that comes to my mind in terms of oils would be Melinia, and also just massaging that area of the eye without the oil on it. I wouldn't put the oil that close to the eye on an 11-month-old unless they were maybe asleep. But I know of foot zoners that can open them up, that have opened them up, and just by massaging the inner canthus of the eye there seems to work them. But I'm sure that you have probably done that. So see if wherever you are, you can find a foot zoner that might be able to work that part of the foot. Autism. What oils do we have for autism is the next question. If you think about what autism is, okay, again, you have to think of how the individual person is displaying those symptoms. If you've ever seen a movie, My Name is Temple Grandin, she was autistic, but she went on to get a college degree. So there's varying wide levels of quote-unquote autism. And so you want to look to the individual. Autism is, again, something that affects the overall frequency of the body, and I have had best results with the high-frequency oils. Oils like Straight Rose, Straight Neroli, the Expressions blend, because it has those high-frequency notes in it. We're coming out with a new blend called Cherish in a little bit, and that has a lot of high-frequency oils in it, because those high-frequency oils sort of defibrillate the whole body, all of the cells, and bring them all up higher, raise the whole entity's frequency higher, and that seems to help. But again, look to the individual um, symptoms. If it is a sort of an OCD kind of behavior of repetition or something like that, then millennia. If very excited, very anxious, very uh, um, overstimulated, tranquility or sanctuary would be very calming. So again, you need to look towards the specific areas of how that quote unquote label of autism is displaying, because there, again, the same thing with the breathing or the allergies. It doesn't matter what it is. You have to look at that symptom of what's going on there. Okay? There is a woman associated with Butterfly Express. Her name is Kelly Miller, and if you call the office on Monday and ask Susan for her name, she lives in Michigan. I met her in Michigan. I was back there teaching a class a couple years ago. She had a child with autism, and she is a huge advocate for autism and has pulled her son through a lot. And he is now, I don't even know if you could use that diagnosis on him. So she could give you a lot of information. And Susan should be able to give you her phone number. I don't know it off the top of my name, but her name, I believe, is Kelly Miller. And she readily accepts phone calls. It's not like she's not going to talk to you. This is her now mission in life, is to help other parents that have children that hopefully can be helped with autism as well. Okay, how we doing? Anybody else? Thank you so much for all of those answers. I enjoyed. Oh, good. Yay. Wonderful. Okay, so I'll be over. Next time I make it over there, I'll look you up. mm. Where do you live, Anna? I'm just talking to the girl. Just texted me from Oahu. Oh, yeah, on the other side. Yeah, I've been over there. Did some boogie boarding and stuff in is it Kihei on the other side of the island, maybe? Yeah, yeah. I'd have to have about 100 people there to pay for my ticket, wouldn't I? There's a question here that says, how do the oils affect the chakras? Um, yeah, we do have a chakra kit, and they're in your book. Let me see if I can find my book and find the page. There is the chakras are basically, think of them as flowers or wheels. Think of them as a petal, a flower with many petals. And these petals need to function. The wheel needs to spin. The petals need to open. The flower needs to be open. And they're energy vortexes. They're places in the body where energy is dispersed from, where energy can go out from, and that they kind of crisscross in there. There's 7 major chakra in the body. When people talk about their chakras, that's what they're talking about, is the 7 major ones. There's hundreds of little tiny ones. And they're found along the spine in the body. So at the bottom of the sacrum is where you're going to find the lower oil, the lower 2 chakras, the base and the root and the sacral, however you want to call them. And they are located, down low at the bottom of the sacrum. And then as you work your way up the spinal column, or they call it the Sushumna, but anyway, as you work your way up, you're going to find what's called the solar plexus, which is kind of right where the belly button is, kind of down low. Then you're going to have the heart, which is obviously in the center of the chest. You're going to have the throat chakra, which is obvious places right at the voice box, pretty much. You're going to have the brow chakra, which is what some people refer to as the third eye. It's right in the middle of the forehead, between the eyes and up a little bit. And then you're going to have the crown chakra, which is actually at the top of the head. And these follow certain patterns, and each one is responsible for the organs and the development of the area where they are. So if you have the heart chakra, then that's going to be obviously the heart and the lungs and all of the organs that are right there around it. The solar plexus is more like the spleen and the liver and all of those guys. And of course, there's overlap, I'm sure, and different these chakras, these wheels, these flowers need to spin. They need to have energy. They need to be open. They need to be in synchronization with each other, and the different oils um, have the ability to open them, not force them, but just open them, allow them to work, allow them to spin, allow them to those petals to unfold. And as those do, then again, vitality increases, pH increases, frequency increases, and everything is a lot happier. There are many oils that really work on all of the chakras. My favorite is Unity. Millennia does. Sanctuary is wonderful. Uh, it's on page 92 in my book. I think you guys have the same edition I do. And so it's a very, very uh, good way to just use oils uh, like the perfume oils, because these oils usually smell good. Believe smells wonderful and can be just used as, okay, I'm just going to, this is just to balance. Where you would put them, if you are struggling with, say, thyroid issues, okay, well, that's a throat issue. That would be more of a fifth chakra, throat chakra sort of a thing. And this is more of the emotional stuff, okay, not necessarily the physical stuff. So, but you want to work on the emotional as well as the physical. So you'd rub that oil, in the throat area or at the base of the throat where the thyroid is. Um, there's gazillions of books out there. You could Google, function of the throat chakra, and you're going to get a million hits, and you could read about it. One thing I wanted to say too, and I didn't say this when we were talking about metabolism and we were talking about endo relief and the thyroid and iodine and all that stuff. You need iodine to nourish the thyroid. Okay. Endo relief helps the thyroid. Okay. The thyroid needs iodine to function. Now, my new friend here that's in Hawaii, probably gets a lot of fresh seafood, so she's going to get a lot of naturally occurring iodine from the fish that she eats. But us here in Idaho are kind of landlocked. I'm a vegetarian. I don't eat a lot of fish, and so we need our iodine from other sources. Well, kelp has naturally occurring iodine in it, so I take a tincture supplement that we make called kelp, nettles, alfalfa, or minerals. Either one has naturally occurring kelp in it, which has the naturally occurring iodine. But one other thing I want to say is that fluoride and iodine have similar chemical structures, and they compete for absorption. You know how I was talking about the cells and the absorption and different places and, all that kind of stuff. Fluoride and iodine compete for the place to absorb. And the fluoride, confused here, the fluoride will win over the iodine. So, don't drink fluoridated water, don't use fluoridated toothpaste, all that good stuff, so that the fluoride isn't there competing with the iodine, especially if you're trying to lose weight, especially if you have a sluggish thyroid, especially, if you're trying to work on your metabolism. Okay? That was a long answer. Okay, there's no other questions on here. Okay. Let's see. Should I give you 10 seconds to come up with a question? We have been going for 3.5 hours, so I understand if you have, needs. I understand, all of that stuff. Or if we've reached the end of our questions. Okay. Again, if you think of questions between now or we hang up and you're like, oh my gosh, why didn't I ask her that? I will actually be in the office on Tuesday. Not. I won't be there on Monday. But Susan can answer your questions or show you, help you point out in your book, well, this it would be on this page, or help you kind of steer you in the right direction that way too. Talk about the massage therapy similar to raindrop therapy. Raindrop therapy was coined and developed by Gary Young and Young Living, and it involves a couple of blended oils and then a lot of single oils. Uh, Peppermint and oregano and rosemary, and I don't remember all what's in there. And his technique talked about doing them straight on the spine, layered one right after the other, but a lot of drops of each. And I have talked to lots of people that did not have a good experience with raindrop therapy. Uh, I think that you need to use caution when you use some of those caustic single oils without a carrier oil. I think you need to be very sure of what you're doing and of what your client, is capable of, because some of those oils, just the technique, I've never done it and I've never had it done, but just reading about the technique, it seems as though it would burn and hurt, and put a hot steamy towel on, oregano and marjoram and whatever else is on the back in the quantities that they say is on the back. It's like, ouch. And I've talked to people, I talked to one person that said she couldn't walk for like 3 days. So I'm not sure if they're driving, their point is to help remove um, pockets of deeply embedded, stress on the spinal column, and, infections and bacteria and funguses and viruses and all that stuff that's in there. I guess I should say I am a very moderate person, and I do not believe that it should have to hurt or debilitate us to get well. And if something is painful, I don't know that it is necessarily helpful. Certain things, yeah, I understand there's exceptions to that, but I think that for our health, our underlying long-term health, just like where I was kind of going with the weight loss, it's not going to happen in 2 months. And if it does, like you do with like these people that did a couple years ago with this HCG stuff, then it just comes back. You have to change your mental outlook. You have to change your physical everything. And by dumping all those oils on your body at one time may not be the best use of those oils. Or debilitating. It may be debilitating for your energy system. And so again, I'm more moderate, and I like the blended oils better than the single oils. I think there's Tendicare and Millennia are the equivalents in the therapy kit to the raindrop therapy kit. And I believe in using carrier oil, and nice and slow, and those oils are good. But I think that the technique, as taught, as I have seen online, of quote unquote raindrop therapy, was seemed harsh, and I'm not into that. I'm into, okay, I'd rather it take me 3 weeks and not hurt than go one time and be painful. I don't want to jeopardize anybody's health or seem irrational by doing something that just doesn't make logical sense to me. And not using a carrier oil with those single oils and all of them at one time on the back, and then putting a hot steamy towel on there. I just can't get my mind around why it is there, what it's doing, and that there's other more effective ways to do that. Using the Millennia, using the Deliverance, using Tendicare, you can using cranial sacral, you can really activate the spine and the whole central nervous system that way, and not with the raindrop therapy itself. Okay. Alrighty. Okay, waiting. if you're well, I understand that you don't want to hang up if there's more questions, but if there's not more questions, one of us has to go first. You have been a great group. There was only I've taught this class sometimes where there's been like 10 or 12 people um, on upwards of 15, and there's been so much background static, and they've been trying to actually talk and not actually text them, and so nobody could hear, and very sort of unbalanced in your ear. And so this has been nice because it's been very quiet because you've all hooked on through computers and not just the phones. Although there's a couple of you, I think, on phones maybe. But it's been very pleasant because you've been able to get your messages in here, but we haven't had to listen to the static of the background. I think people we're not aware of some of the background noise that can happen, with the dog runs through or the vacuum cleaner or what have you. And so this has been very pleasant in terms of being quiet. Okay. All right. Well, we'll wait a few more minutes for another question. I bet you're all questioned out. You all going to get up and move. Okay. Gosh, we've been going almost 4 hours, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, well, I know there's a big group at Cynthia's house. I hope that you have enjoyed it. And if you didn't get your questions answered, then either talk to Sue on Monday, or, again, I'll be in the office on Tuesday, or send an email. Send an email to Butterfly Express, and I can respond to that. butterflyoil@yahoo.com or Laurie'sButterfly@gmail.com, and I can respond to those. Okay, here's another question. Can ear oil go through airplane? Yeah. Pretty much anything I think can go through the airplane scanning, because I think that the oils are smart and they correct themselves as long as you don't open them right up and disperse them. I think they will actually heal themselves if given a time to just sit in the suitcase and just be there for a couple, 3 hours after they're done flying and changing altitudes and all that kind of stuff. I think the oils have that innate ability to protect themselves and heal themselves. They're alive, and they know. They're smarter than we are. They know what they need to do. I have never had any trouble, and I have flown to L.A. to teach, and I have flown to Phoenix to teach many times, and back to Michigan, and I've taken suitcases full of oils and homeopathics and what have you with me, and not had any trouble with the oils performing or being, still therapeutic when I got there. So I think that you're just fine there. For those of you that don't know, ear oil is almond oil that Butterfly Express takes and put mullein. Mullein is an herb, and you take the blossom of the mullein and put that in almond oil and let that sit for 2 or 3 weeks. And then you strain out the flowers, the vegetable stuff, and then we put in a few other herbs and a little bit of garlic and what have you, and that is an ear oil to soothe ear aches. Here's another question. What oils are good for brain fog? My favorite that I use is crystal clear. A lot of people don't like, I know Laurie likes IQ better because she likes the smell of IQ better. But crystal clear, whoops, just dropped the phone again. Crystal clear just works for me. I just love it. I put a couple of drops on my lapel of my shirt mid-afternoon when the sun's coming in, and you've had lunch and you still got 3 more hours of work, and it's just like, oh man. I put 2 or 3 drops of crystal clear on my lapel, and 20 minutes later I'm good to go for another 6 or 7 hours. So I like crystal clear. But there's focus, and there's also IQ that are very, very similar. They're like little triplets that could be used for the same thing. Okay. If I stall long enough, you'll come up with something else. Or not, maybe. Okay. Why don't I just say that's it? Because I think that if you had questions, you've asked them, or you'd be typing. So I'm going to say good afternoon, and I'm going to hang up. And all you have to do for all of you guys is just on your computer hit all the little X's, and pretty soon the phones will hang up and the things will stop and what have you. Okay? So it was wonderful to teach for you today. I hope that you have learned something. I hope that you now can start using essential oils to make your lives and the lives of your family and your friends healthier and more balanced, and can be less dependent on pharmaceuticals and medicines. So anyway, everybody, you have a great afternoon. Take care. Bye bye.